Hello and welcome to the Penno Channel for this match preview for Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace in the Premier League this Saturday. Yeah, how you been doing, man?
Oh yeah, I'm good, bro. This is always my favourite part of the season where the final international break's out the way and then you get about 3 or 4 months of pure Premier League football. So even though Villa ain't been playing the best, I do miss them secretly. So
Huge game to come back to in terms of Villa picking up some form because the form before the international break came was poor, wasn't it? It all started off really with the cup game against Palace. And then we had two defeats as well in terms of Spurs and Liverpool in the league, and also the defeat in the Champions League against Club Brugge. So 4 defeats in a row. It's not been good, and we're looking to bounce back, man. And Unai has had 2 weeks now to prepare. And going off the quotes that had been made in the last few days, it seems like he's been going into overtime. He's been booking those extra shifts, those extra hours. He's been making sure. I wonder if Villa will give him some additional pay for the additional hours he's been working at Bodymoor Heath. But yeah, he's been putting in extra time, him and his coaches. His coaches must just think, man, maybe we can relax a bit over this international break, have a bit more time with the family. But no doubt Unai's telling them stay.
I saw them quotes. I don't know. I find it hard to believe Emery can work even harder than he already does. Like some of them things I was hearing at the start of the season, like he was on sicko mode. So I find it hard to believe that he can even up the level. But we'll see Saturday, and we'll see.
Fantastic time for Morgan Rogers. Also getting a new bumper deal, which goes on till 2030. So improvement in wages, improvement in performances has been justified, and he's earned that now. He's among one of the highest earners within the squad, and that's thoroughly deserved because of the importance he's had. So big shout out to Morgan Rogers, bro. If there's anything you want to add?
Yeah, really cool to see him get that contract extension, man. Really deserved. If there's one player that I just find it hard to criticize right now or struggle to, it's Morgan Rogers, because he, even when he does have his off games, he's still like the focal point of our attack. He's the one that connects the midfield with the strikers, and he's probably been our best attacker this season. So yeah, big up him. Happy he's got a new deal, and I thought he looked okay when he came on for England. I thought he looked decent, did a few nice things. So hopefully more England call ups in his future, man.
Yeah, we'll go into a few players, that have contributed to their international side as well. John McGinn bagged two. He bagged one against Croatia, and then he bagged the other day against Poland as well. So John McGinn getting 2-2. He needs to just translate this goal scoring form into Villa, man. How can he be so high up in Scotland's overall goal scoring charts, and he just never translates to playing for us? Let's hope he brings it across, because the right foot finish was lovely. That was a lovely goal. And I've never seen John McGinn hit a shot with his right foot ever for Aston Villa. So, yeah, Luca Dean had an absolute madness in terms of set-piece play for France against Italy, getting 2 assists. And I'm going to give him the goal because the free kick was a madness. Unbelievable free kick. And yeah, a few others. Joe Gauci represented Australia. Leon Bailey had a tough time for the Reggae Boys. I didn't want to bring it up, but he did. He had a tough time, especially Rich representing Serbia. Emi Martinez getting another clean sheet recently as well, after they didn't have the best performance in their first game. And then, Watkins and Ezri Konsa representing England as well. Unfortunate, bad news regarding Konsa in that game. The first game, you could tell just before half-time, he was hobbling. And you just knew he was going to come off because he was holding that area around his groin, and he was really hobbling. And yeah, the way he walked off the pitch, I just knew before halftime he was coming off as well. Watkins looked good, managed to bag a goal as well. Was influential in that first half, especially against Greece. And I thought England looked better when Watkins was on the pitch than when Kane was, especially for the majority of the first half against Ireland as well, albeit Kane played an amazing pass for the penalty in the second half for Bellingham. So yeah, a lot of positives to take from that, bro. A lot of players getting some really good minutes and really having an impact for their international sides.
Yeah, unfortunate with Amadou Onana as well. Obviously, he had an injury in his foot that's going to leave him out for 2-3 weeks. Ross Barkley will be back to fill in that role next to Tielemans, because with Kamara having a hamstring injury as well, we're looking quite depleted in midfield when that's normally our strongest area. So yeah, fingers crossed Ross Barkley's back for the Palace game, because he's going to be needed. And I think he was training this week. I seen him taking a picture of Bodymore in the snow. So yeah, man. Hopefully we'll see Barkley Tielemans versus Palace.
Yeah, you think we'll get into that, but yeah, is that what you're thinking? Is it will be Barkley Tielemans straight away because of just availability?
Well, I don't know who actually played there. Kamara's injured as well.
Defending McGinn potentially.
No. Barkley.
Even though we've not seen that this season.
No. But I'd have Barkley ahead of. I'd have Barkley ahead of.
Yeah, so would I. But I'm just saying maybe it's an option because we have seen it before, and we saw it quite a bit towards the end of last season because Kamara and Dougie were out at some points together. So yeah, bro, getting on to Palace, man. They've not had the start that I think most people were expecting, to be honest. Obviously, a massive loss was Michael Lee saying we've recognised that with the performances we've seen him put in for Bayern Munich, and he did look like he was their most. When we played against Bayern, for me, he looked like the player who was going to unlock us. Was putting in for Palace. He's now a top player, and on the verge of being world class in some aspects. So yeah, that's a huge miss for them. A lot was made of the Joachim Andersen sale as well. They did replace him with Lacroix, who I do think is decent at times. With the changing system as well that Glasner has implemented, obviously, they do play with 3 centre-halves, and they brought in Trevor Chalobah, someone you picked up in on another video for our most overrated 11 so far this season. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, bro.
My favourite defender in the league, Chalobah.
So yeah. But yeah, obviously, we played them in the Cup. They went pretty much full strength. We didn't. They started to have a real impact on the game in terms of the players that were on the pitch for Palace, especially Eze started to play into the game. They got the early goal. But for this one, potentially, Eze is going to be missing. Adam Wharton, it looks like he won't be available either. And also Kamada, who, if you look at my most overrated 11, was in that. Scored against us. It looks like he is suspended for the game because he got a red card. I think was it against Fulham. So those are 3 players who had a big influence in that game in the Cup, and especially 2 of them are Palace's most influential players on the ball. So they're coming to this out of form. I do think Glasner is a good coach, but I do think everyone overrated them going into the season, especially thinking of where they finish. They'll be looking now to pick up some points in this period, and they'll be coming to Villa thinking, well, we've already beat them at Villa Park, and look to get some joy against us on the wings and the fullbacks, and especially with Munez, who I thought was their best player when we played against them. I thought he was really direct, really attacking on the flanks, and you can create overloads against us out wide because of how narrow we can play at times, and I think they'll be looking to do that.
Yeah, facts. Palace had an interesting transfer window. Like you said, they lost Elise, who was crucial, and it doesn't really feel like they replaced him properly. They brought in Ismail Assar, who I don't actually think he's a bad player, but that was always going to be a risk coming from League On. Marseille, he was at Watford before, but hasn't really found that form that we saw early on in his career. The Nketiah signing as well was a bit strange for me when they had Mateta there, who's 27, and Nketiah has kind of been shoehorned into their 3-4-2-1 system. He's almost playing off Mateta as like a 10. And I think Glasner's been tasked with getting both of them into the starting lineup because of their price. But it's almost like sacrificing other parts of their game where a different type of player will probably suit their system more. So I think that's been an issue for them as well. And I think towards the end of the season, they were running hot. Like their data they were overperforming a little bit. But listen, you're football fans. If your team are winning away at Anfield, beating other sides, West Ham, I think they beat like 5-2, you're going to get excited. So I don't blame Palace fans for getting maybe a bit carried away, enjoying their team winning. But yeah, this season, even though I was expecting a drop-off, this has been way worse than I thought. And I think it's coupled with the injuries, bro. Like Eze again out, Wharton, massive loss as well. It's been a struggle for Palace, but part of me still thinks they won't go down this season.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, I think they'll be potentially in the fight, but I don't think they'll go down. I think that they have enough quality to stay up. And I think Glasner will turn it around at some point, but he needs to work out his system because the way they're operating with Nketiah at the minute, it's not working. Even when him and Mateta are both on the pitch, it's not working. But Mateta's, running cold at the minute. And when they even play with one, I did watch Nketiah play against Forest, and I thought he looked dangerous. To be fair, he was shooting from all angles, but he did look dangerous, and he was playing as a load strike at that point, and they took him off, and Mateta wasn't quite at it from that point. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they do line up against us. Will Ismail Assar come into the side? Will he play off the right with Nketiah down the middle? Obviously, as well, they got rid of Jordan Ayew. I mean, we don't really rate Jordan Ayew like that, but that is another player that they did get rid of, and he's popped up with a few moments so far for Leicester this season. I bet the back three to be Chalobah, Lacroix, and Mark Gay, and then in the middle of the park, who do they go with? Is it going to be Will Hughes?
They got
Schlupp midfield.
They have Decore back now as well. Obviously, like Decore, a player like we looked at before we did sign Boubacar Kamara, and the player that I do rate, but obviously he's got some heated history at Villa Park. He's the guy that did crunch Kamara last time, giving him that first big injury. That was a disgusting tackle, that one. So hopefully he gets a few boos. I don't know if fans remember like that, but yeah, he's a good player. It'll be a big boost for them.
I think Will Hughes will find himself in the side as well. And yeah, it'd be interesting. What are your thoughts on their front three? What do you reckon they'll go for? Do you think they'll play?
Well, they have to go. Yeah, they have to go Nketiah, Mateta, Assar. They don't have anyone else. Like Kamada's suspended. Eze, we're assuming, is out. They don't have anyone else really, unless they're playing an academy player. So I don't think Glasner's really got a choice, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that plays into our hands, because I think Palace second half against us, even in the cup, they didn't really offer a threat with the side they had out, apart from the goal, which I thought we should have done better with, to be honest. But in terms of statistically and what was produced by Villa dominated that game. So I think if we play similarly with a few players coming into the side as well, I back us to do well against Palace on the weekend, and I do see us getting a few goals. So if we move on to us, bro, your thoughts going into, not just this game, but this period with a few players missing, what's going to be key for us in this period coming up?
Well, firstly, I think Villa have a lot of key areas that probably have been addressed over the international break, both tactically, structurally, how we can better break teams down and create chances. I think the right-hand side, first we'll address. I think that's actually just going to have to be one we're just going to have to stick it out with till January. I don't actually think there's a profile solution for that. We're just going to have to hold one of Bailey or Philogene fixes up enough till January to start buying in performance, because Emery's system relies on a specialist winger with 1v1 ability, trickery, and ability to get to the box on that right wing. They hold width, and that's their role in the system. So that one's a wait it out. On the left-hand side, however, I think Maatsen, probably time for him to come in. Now that could be a new way for us to address our creative problems that side with the absence of Ramsey. I think if Maatsen gets licensed to play down that side and gets to the byline, hopefully cuts back, beats his man 1v1, shows a bit about him, that helps us get up the pitch. I think that will be massive for us, bro. I think that will really aid how we play. And I also think Maatsen's runs in behind allow Pau Torres to show more ambition to his passes. He tries more riskier passes in behind. That's another way to break what's going to be a stubborn Palace block. And then finally, if we are seeing Ramsey out, I think it could be a chance to move Rodgers to the right and try Watkins and Duran up front. Now, I know there's a lot of hesitation about this and a lot of people say it doesn't work, etc. But I don't know. I watched the Bruges second half game back and I thought Duran was dropping deep. He was controlling well. He was laying off. I think it can work. It's not my favourite thing in the world. I'd rather Ramsey, Rodgers, and then a striker and then Bailey. But I think with the injuries we've got, I don't really see what else we can do. So that's another problem. And then finally, defensive set pieces. Just got to improve that. Got to not look so vulnerable from our own set pieces, and just improve how we defend our set pieces, because that seems to be a killer for us right now.
So if you were to say Rodgers going to the right, would you think, is that Bailey bench then?
No, Rodgers to the left, bro.
You think? Oh, I thought you said right. Oh yeah, so Rodgers on the left. So no McGinn.
No, I said Bailey. I said we have to wait it out with Bailey and Philly. We're just gonna have to play them until until no matter how bad
So
it
yeah,
is.
no McGinn in your starting lineup then.
I wouldn't play
If you
McGinn in
were
the
to
starting
say.
lineup. Yeah, not against a team like Palace who are going to sit in their shape. I don't really see what McGinn offers like that. McGinn's more of a like full-on transitional player that's better for them type of games. So yeah, I wouldn't. When in a game we're going to dominate possession, when you have Barkley and Tielemans as well, I wouldn't really play McGinn. No.
I think McGinn will play just because I think McGinn. It's McGinn.
It's McGinn.
Yeah, I can
That's
see
what you
Maatsen starting.
No,
And
I hear it. It is just funny to me
I'm
that
just
that's how
thinking what Emery will
that's
do.
it is funny to me. That's just what it seems to be what he just rides off like. Like
But
a lot of the time,
his performances haven't been up. No, we can discuss it. We can say
they can't discuss like what actually his like sickest attributes are. It's just more of a like he's a captain, is McGinn. Like he's got to start. You know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that that's what it is at the moment for sure because he's done nothing to prove that he deserves a start. In my eyes, anyway. So yeah, that's facts. But I think he will start. I just think he will start, especially with the injuries we have as well. I think McGinn will start.
Yeah, I can see as well.
I think it will be.
That was just more what I think needs to be addressed, just watching the games and just seeing like we got serious issues. Like I know a lot of people are saying it's only 1 point off third and people need to relax. But I think that's too surface level, the analysis. It's not getting to the crux of issues. Like there's deeper issues, I think, at play. So hopefully against Palace, we do see it ironed out. We need to really start improving our wide play, I think especially down that right-hand side.
What I was going to say though, bro, is I do think there's an actual chance Maatsen does start. That's what I was going to say.
Left midfield?
I do actually think, no, left back. Like I do think Maatsen will start, especially if Cash is back and he's playing. I think Cash will play right back. We'll probably go with if Konza can't make it and Powell's available, or if Konza and Powell are both available, it'll be Konza, Powell, and Maatsen, and then McGinn off the left, Bailey on the right, Barkley, Tielemans, Rodgers, Watkins. So I do think there is a chance that Maatsen actually will start, just because we need something down that left hand side. If Rodgers is playing up top with Watkins and it has to be McGinn, well, I think it does have to be McGinn on the left if that is the case. And I just don't see Maatsen playing left midfield. I don't see that happening. I think he'd play McGinn and play Maatsen left back. So I can see that happening. And I'd be disappointed if it doesn't, to be honest.
Yeah, like
it's not taking anything away from Digne. I just think we have no pace on that side if we don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not to like just to preface. This is like what I just think Villa needs to happen. But obviously, I'm not saying I know better than Emery or whatever. Like he sees the team, etc. But I do think he would be tempted to do the Maatsen left mid Digne thing as well. Like he's done it in the past. He did it against Leicester as well when Ramsey got subbed off twice. So I could see him doing that as well. But I think if you play Maatsen already tucked in, it takes away a lot of his ability. You want him on the outside, getting to the byline. You don't really want him tucking in and doing like a kind of inverted gimmick. So yeah, it'll be interesting, man. But I do think you are more likely right. I think if I was to guess what Emery will play, it would be more closer to your team with McGinn starting. But sorry, just one player I wanted to shout out as well was having watched the Bruges game back. Buendia looked a lot sharper than I remembered. He came on, he showed some nice touches, nice little flicks, and not saying he's like the be all and end all, but I think he probably does deserve some minutes Saturday. Maybe if it's 20 minutes off the bench, half an hour, get him some and see what he can do because. He didn't impress in the last game against Palace, but I'll put it down to it being the second team tax more than anything. So
his touch was poor against Palace. that was what stuck out to me.
He was getting bullied off the ball a
lot. He was.
But against
he just
Bruges,
didn't look like the sharpness wasn't there yet.
Yeah, but against Bruges, he really impressed. Like I didn't realize like how he was doing a lot. There was one move where second half late on he dropped deep. He like almost like spanned the guy and then he played it forward to Maatsen, and I thought we've kind of lacked that a little bit when it's not Rodgers that's doing it and having to drop deep. So
no, it'd be interesting, but as I say, I'll be if it is like if the left hand side's a McGinn Digne, I'll be a bit like because I just think what we've been really struggling with is pace and creating chances from out wide, and I just think that that doesn't constitute that on the left side, and then it means that it just puts even more pressure on Bailey on the right side and Cash as well. So I would like to see Maxson come in for Digne just because I just think he offers a bit more going forward and in terms of just pace and threat in behind. So yeah, that will be interesting to see if it is that. But I do just see McGinn starting.
Yeah, so we was coming out with some interesting quotes, I thought, about the APT meeting and the Premier League rules that are about to have a vote on, saying they're unlawful and kind of back City in a way, which I thought was interesting as well. I personally think we're going to see the Super League like real soon, man. You got to think like 14 out of the 20 Premier League clubs are American, and I just think if the Premier League keep putting in place these rules that limits clubs being able to spend what they want, I think they're just going to get fed up in the end, bro, and just do their own thing.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's weird because there's half the big clubs are not too bothered in that sense because they want to keep the hierarchy within the league. It's the clubs below that, except for Man City. It's the clubs below that who want to try and push, who are below
it's
the so-called Big
Newcastle's,
Six.
Aston Villa,
Newcastle, exactly. So it's like
it's the up and coming. It's Brighton, and maybe even Brentford. I don't know. It's the up and coming clubs that want
exactly because they want to. Exactly, bro. Yeah, so it's not necessarily those teams. They want to keep the hierarchy. They don't want to much change to the Premier League's regulations right now because they can spend the most. They get the most revenue. They don't want other clubs being able to, challenge them in that sense off the field in terms of, the revenue that they can generate. So, yeah, but I do think Super League's just inevitable at some point anyway. Just, I don't think the vote for tomorrow will go in City or Villa's favour.
That's it, my brother.
Yeah, we'll call it a day there. As always, if you could subscribe, comment your thoughts on the game coming up as well against Palace. Let us know the score predictions that you've got for the game in the comments. And also something mentioned as well, the membership. If you'd like to become a member, then click the link that will be in the chat as well. That'll be much appreciated. So yeah, bro, that's it. We round it off. At least football is back because it's been too long, this international break, and finally there's a long sustained period of club football. So yeah, be ready, bro. Be ready. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this Thursday night, and we'll see you for the match reaction after the game against Palace. Up the Villa.